Is the Holy War the best Big 12 conference game of the season? Can anything touch BYU and Notre Dame in the non-con? I will say, actually, you'd be a bit surprised. I'm going to rank these for you in this video. The top 5 Big 12 non-conference games and the top 5 Big 12 conference games now that the schedule is released, okay? You can all rest easy. We do have, finally, the Big 12 conference schedule. And we'll start with the non-conference games before I get into the conference games this year. I think these non-con games offer some real opportunity for the Big 12. There are certainly 2 games, number 1 and number 2 here, that you can circle as, like, these could be huge statements for the Big 12. And there were a couple of those last year, but you looked at them and said, I mean, hey, there's a lot of upside there, but the odds of the Big 12 actually winning the game, not real likely. One of those was Oregon. Oregon scored 69 on Oklahoma State. Am I recalling that correctly? Yeah. That game at Autzen was not one that you felt good about, but you said, well, if Mike Gundy has some rabbit pulling out of his hat, big opportunity there. I think there's a better shot this time around. But let's start at number 5, okay? Here is the number 5 Big 12 non-conference game of the season to me. That would be Arkansas at Utah. It's going to be played in week 2. I like this. Arkansas is not great. They have a new hire, Ryan Silverfield, right, from Memphis, the head coach now at Arkansas. That was not a lauded hire across college football circles, but that doesn't really mean anything. It still could be great. But Arkansas is going through a coaching change. They were not a good program the last couple of years. Remember, this is the same team that lost at Oklahoma State a couple of years ago when the Pokes then went winless in conference play. I like this game because I think Utah could smack them around. Now, I know Utah has a lot of transition itself, and this will still be very early in the year, but with all the transition, you're not going through a change at quarterback. I trust Morgan Scalley with a defense, and I really trust the physicality of Utah and the environment of Rice Eccles for a new Arkansas program to come in and try and handle that. I think that's a game where the Big 12 could not just win, but could win decisively, and that will help build some things up. Arizona State at Texas A&M is number 4. That is a game that occurs in week 3. So this does fit a little. I'm not saying Arizona State's Oklahoma State from last year, but this does fit a bit more in the category of I do worry that this could get away from Arizona State, especially when I remember what Arizona State had in the chamber last year, and they went down and lost to Mississippi State at the beginning of the year. Very disappointing game. Still can't believe they gave up that bomb of a touchdown late in the game after fighting as hard as they did to take the lead. It is what it is. They lost that game. They're going to have to be much, much better. But, Texas A&M's taking a lot. Look, I know as a K-State guy, Texas A&M's staff has taken a bit of a hit this year. I'm sure they'll still be good, but Arizona State has a lot of upside here going to College Station. I'll be interested to see how they handle that game. And, there's some skepticism. Was Texas A&M a product of its schedule? Look, again, as a K-State guy, I hope it was not. But if they were, keep your eye on Arizona State at Texas A&M. Number 3, Missouri at Kansas. It's in week 2. You guys know that I love that game. I love the rivalry. I grew up with it. There's a ton of hatred there. It goes back to the Civil War. But also, Kansas might have a legitimate shot to win that game. Hey, I said that this past year, and they were up in the fourth quarter in Columbia. I mean, really, we're like one play away, I think, from going on to seal that game. And then Missouri flipped it on them in the fourth quarter, but that was in Columbia, dude. I think KU can have a chance to win that game at home. Number 2, Oregon at Oklahoma State. Okay, Pokes, let's go. Drew Mestamaker, let's ride. Caleb Hawkins, let's go, buddy. Give me a raucous crowd at Boone Pickens Stadium. How long has Oklahoma State been waiting as a fan base to erupt with a game like that, to showcase everything Boone Pickens Stadium can be? They're going to get the opportunity with early on in the year. Very little I imagine and hope could go wrong by that point to dissuade any of the optimism that's just riding high in Stillwater right now. So that should be a juiced, jacked crowd. Let's see what happens. Send Oregon in there. Send them on the road early in the season at a really tough environment. Maybe they overlook it a bit. Who knows? Because of what they did last year to Oklahoma State, and they'll find out. This is not 2025 Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State, okay? Number one, enough said. Notre Dame at BYU, as has been covered already on this live stream. Brief recap. I mean, look, BYU needs the credibility after knocking on the door of the playoff, not getting there. The Big 12 needs the credibility after the struggles in the playoff last year against Oregon when you got a shot at a big national brand. And a lot of eyes will be on Notre Dame because they have a pretty soft schedule before that game. People are going to be looking at them getting tested for the first time. BYU winning that game could do a lot of good for the Big 12. Now, best conference games in the league, okay? This one, I think, much more wide open. People looking around like, all right, where's he going to go with this? Because we don't get BYU Texas Tech. If that were happening, it'd be a pretty obvious one. I've got two honorable mentions for you. Arizona State at Texas Tech week 7. Like I said, every major article you'll read about the Big 12 schedule release, this was like the headliner game. Nothing against Kenny Deed, nothing against Arizona State. But, man, if you're replacing Raleek Brown, Jordan Tyson, and Sam Levitt and some dudes on the defense, like, I need to see it first before I'm going to believe that you're ready to push Texas Tech in Lubbock. But I'll throw it in there because I do really like Kenny Dillingham, and I think he can make a competitive team out of what they got for sure. Honorable mention number 2, Texas Tech at Oklahoma State week 11. I think that game has potential to rise very high on this list. But for now, I'll be cautiously optimistic. I will caution my optimism on the Pokes and keep that an honorable mention. Number 5, Arizona at Texas Tech. That game's in week 9. Whoever it was. Who was it earlier that asked about Arizona? It was Jamie. There you go, Jamie. I've got Arizona in here twice. They appear first at number 5. Arizona at Texas Tech. Is Arizona ready to take another step? Noah Fafita ready to go up against that Texas Tech defense? Will the Tech pass rush be as menacing as it was last year? I think that can be a pretty good game. Houston at Utah. That's at number 4. That game's in week 8. I've got Houston at Utah at number 4. Fun matchup of quarterbacks here. Connor Wegman, Devin Dampier, a couple of transfers that had really nice seasons last year for their respective teams and will be returning for year 2. And I think both of these teams could definitely still be in the Big 12 title hunt in week 8. I like that matchup a lot. If you were here for the whole live stream, you heard me say earlier, I've got Houston as my 3rd best team in the Big 12 as of right now. Number 3, Arizona at BYU. Part of the reason I've got this game at number 3 is because it's early in the year, week 2. Okay. Week 2, this is going to be putting some stuff on the line early on for a couple of teams that definitely could be contenders. Experienced QB matchup. I mean, last year we got a game that went to double overtime between these two teams in Tucson. That was one of the real early moments of glory for Bear Bachmeier to figure out a way to pull that game out. So I love that game popping out of there in week 2. Number 2 is the Holy War. Week 10. Yes, as discussed earlier, not the end of the season. It is in week 10, but it just feels, I mean, look, this game's always going to be a one-possession game. Until proven otherwise, these two teams playing in the Big 12, it's going to be a one-possession game. It's the rematch of the game 2 years ago with the controversial holding and Mark Harlan's press conference and everything that spiraled out of control after that game. Plus now the new dynamic of what does this look like without Kyle Whittingham? Will Morgan Scalley say the 3 letters BYU in the press conferences leading up to the game? Will he answer questions about Bear Bachmeier when asked at a press conference? Or will he say that he's not going to talk about guys on the other team? We'll see how Morgan Scalley handles all that. I imagine it'll be a little more gracefully. Number 1, Houston at Texas Tech in week 3. That to me is going to be the number 1 conference game of the year. As I see it right now, to me, it's 2 of the top 3 teams. It's pretty early, which can be good or bad. I tend to think here, let's wait and see who steps up in the Big 12, who has a surprisingly good year, and we'll probably get a Big 12 game of the year type of matchup springing up later in the season. But this is one that you could bank on a bit earlier, right? I think both teams will be in the top 25. Houston's probably going to get some preseason top 25 love. I sure hope that they would. And a first big real test for Brendan Sorsby as the quarterback at Texas Tech. I like Houston Tech week 3 as something that I can hang my hat on when a lot of the schedule is a little more wishy-washy and we need to kind of wait and see. So there you have it. Those are my I guess you could call them the top 10 Big 12 games of the season, but my top 5 non-cons and my top 5 conference games for the league.